Are you wondering, do I need an attorney to buy a house? If so, this is the video for you. We are interviewing a real estate attorney today. Let's get started. Hey friends, Mary Howard here with There Is No Place Like Home NC, Red Boots Realty powered by eXp Realty. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please take a second and hit that subscribe button below. Don't forget to hit the icon bell to be notified of the new videos that get posted every week. Today we are talking with Elyse Johnson of EBJ Law, a real estate attorney. Let's get started. Hi Elyse, thanks for joining me today. This is Elyse Johnson with EBJ Law.
My law firm is EBJ Law. Website is www.ebjlawnc as in NorthCarolina.com. We only do real estate closings in North Carolina. We try to specialize and kind of be the best at it, or at least we like to hope to be. So the idea behind that is we just specialize in one thing and really hopefully dig our heels in and get it right.
Well, I don't have any complaints so far, my friend. Okay, so here's the question. You guys, attorneys, are not forefront, but I, as a buyer's agent, send my buyer's contract over to you and your team. So once that happens, what's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, so whenever the first thing we do, that what starts us everything off for us is getting that contract. Once we have that contract in place, we look through everything, and the main thing we start doing is collecting information from the buyers and from the sellers. We're trying to get all of the payoffs that the seller might have on that property, so any mortgages that they have, any HOA information, because we have to get payoffs on all that and make sure that everything is paid up so that there's no liens on the property whenever the buyer owns it. And then the other part that we're trying to do besides is actually do the title search. First of all, make sure that the seller is claiming that they own that property. We got to make sure that they actually own that property. So we go through and verify that they're the owners. We do that by doing either a 30-year search. So we search the property all the way back 30 years. We know more probably about a property than a buyer does whenever they actually end up in the house. When we don't have to do a 30-year search is if we're able to find a policy from the previous owner. So if the seller had a policy before that, and we can look at that policy, determine that somebody's already insured on it, and so we can just go from that point forward in doing our title search. Go ahead.
So a policy, so you're talking about a title policy?
Yeah, so what we're talking about is a title policy. So what that says is somebody's already insured the property and said this person owns the property at this point, and there was no liens on the property at that time. And so because we already have that insurance policy in place, we can just move forward from that point forward. What we're looking for is, first of all, do they own the property? Second of all, is there any restrictions on that property that would prevent them from being able to add a shed, or if there's a million things that could come up while we're doing that. And then the third thing we're trying to do is make sure there's no liens on the property. There's always, a lot of times there is a lien on the property, and that's a mortgage. A lot of people don't realize that. They go, oh my gosh, why do you say that there's a lien payoff here? We don't have a lien on the property, but a lien is a mortgage. A mortgage is one of those liens. And then, some people have had judgments in the past from not paying for a car, or any number of reasons. They've gone through a divorce, whatever's happened, and it's up to us to figure that out. One thing in North Carolina is that if you were single when you bought the house and you have since gotten married, we have to find out that information, because nobody knows this, but you get a marital interest automatically whenever you marry somebody who owns property. So we have to make sure that they actually sign the deed as well, so that the buyer does get proper title at closing. And so that's the bulk of what we do. But we actually do a little bit more than that too, and that's after the title search, after we verified that the seller has what liens they have on the property and what the payoffs are on those, and what the HOA is, and make sure that they're paid up on making all of their HOA payments. We send all that title work over to the lender, because the lender for the buyer wants to make sure that they're putting money into a property that has good title. Mm-hmm. So they have to verify it themselves. And then from there, so there's actually two policies, title insurance policies, that come out. One is for the buyer, saying that the buyer now owns the property. They have insurance on it that protects them. And then the lender gets a policy saying that they also are protected. So there's two different policies that happen after the closing.
Now the buyers and the sellers are at the closing table. And they've signed everything, right? That's where we're at?
Well, a little bit before that,
Okay.
a lender is going to come to me and say, we have all of our numbers. So they're going to, in the meantime, the buyer is working with the lender on getting everything they need over to the lender to get a clear to close. Once the lender has a clear to close, they're going to reach out to me and say, okay, we have all of our numbers that we're going to be having to put on our closing disclosure to explain how much money the buyer has to bring to closing, what their closing costs are. And I have my own, because in the meantime, as I said before, I did that HOA work, I have the payoffs, I have the title work, and getting those policies, of course, cost money. So all of that has to, so I have my fees and the lender has their fees. So we combine our fees together and we balance the CV together so that we both agree with a final number that the buyer needs to bring to closing. And then the next thing that buyer has to do is they have to wire the money to us. That's a whole nother, probably a whole nother Zoom call.
Yes.
on the issues surrounding that. But once they send us that money, the lender sends us money as well. We now have all of the money to fund the purchase. They give us a closing package. We go through the closing package and make sure the lender did everything they were supposed to. A lot of people think we just print out that closing package and that's it, but there's a lot that's kind of going on behind the scenes there to make sure everything's right. Piecing everything together.
You got to balance yours and your numbers, and their numbers have to balance, and nothing goes anywhere until you both have the exact same numbers.
Exactly. Yep. So once we have that closing package, now we have the buyers with us and they're signing with us. So that's another main thing I do is I go through all here at EBJ Law. We have a closing attorney at every single closing. They will go over everything that is they're signing. We try to give like a small explanation because a lot of those documents are pretty long. And then if they have questions or more details, then of course we'll go into it with them. And they have to sign all their documentation. And then the last part of it is making sure that it gets recorded at the county.
Yes, that's where I was going. So a lot of buyers are confused. They walk out and they don't have the keys, and they don't understand why. Well, I just signed everything, but there's the last step, and that last step is you guys recording. So North Carolina has a different law than a lot of other states. In other states, once you sign the paperwork, you are given the keys. So a lot of people that move here from other states think that they're getting the keys after they've signed everything, and they don't. So it's kind of like, it's anticlimactic in a way that they don't get to see the keys and take pictures with it like right away. But yeah, here in North Carolina, we actually have to record it at the county. It usually takes about 2 to 3 hours from the time that they sign. We have to go and get funding approval from the lender, then we send it over to the county to record, and then it takes the county a while to get everything recorded because they got a big list that they're going through. But at the end of the day, usually 2 to 3 hours from there, they are now officially on record and the buyers now officially own it at that point. Right. Yes. When I make that call, there's always a yippee or a woohoo or
Absolutely. Yep. And the very last thing we do is then we disperse all the money. So the lender gets, or anybody that needs to get paid off gets all their money. The seller gets of course, their proceeds, everything like that. So that's the whole process. I guess a quick snapshot from us getting a contract at the beginning to all the way through to the buyer now officially owning the house and the seller getting their money.
Yeah, a 5-minute overview of a 45, 50-day process. Yeah, that's what we do here.
Yep.
All right,
there's certainly a lot of things there's a lot of people playing a part in it and making it all happen behind the scenes here.
Yes, I do. Your team, you've put together a very strong team. I've never been disappointed when I've got you as our closing attorney. So kudos to you and your team at EBJ Law. And thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. Click the link below to watch the next video. Don't forget to hit that icon bell to subscribe. This is Mary Howard with There Is No Place Like Home NC.